Resilient Africa Network is looking at tapping into the talent of the university faculty and students and the community to be able to innovatively address these challenges and make our communities more resilient. So for this grant, the Youth Spark Innovation Grants, we currently have 6 categories that are open to students, and we called it the Youth Spark Innovation Grants. We are targeting even students who they could be in their final year, or they could be graduates or master's students, or even PhD students. So it's an open call, and so we are looking at 6 thematic areas or categories for this call. The first one is in agriculture, and we are looking at how we might improve the access to markets, food sovereignty, low-cost technologies and ICTs for agriculture, value addition, approaches to foster prolonged production in dry season. So if you have an innovation and you belong to the RUN partner universities, you look at agriculture in the context of your lab. For example, if you're from Eastern Africa Resilience Innovation Lab, you submit your innovation under agriculture, looking at climate change, the issues of climate change due to floods and manifestation of disease epidemics and too much rain. But if you're in the Horn of Africa and you're proposing a solution under agriculture, then you'll be looking at the issues of drought and chronic displacement of pastoralist communities. So the second category is water. And underwater, if you're still in any of the labs, you should be focusing on issues of your lab. For example, for Horn of Africa, you'll be looking at lack of water. How can we innovate for communities to ensure that they store water, especially that they have prolonged dry seasons? Whereas if you're from the lab of West Africa, you'll be looking at the issues of water and sanitation. How can we, for example, filter this water to ensure that it's clean and safe for communities? The third category is entrepreneurship. So we are saying that there are challenges of human capital in most communities, coupled with lack of education and skills, and the inability of people to get employment, to get better paying jobs. And then we have others who are relying on social grants, which have become traps or safety nets. Communities are lacking entrepreneurial skills. They have limited access to finance and to startup capital. So in this category, we are seeking for innovations whereby one proposes an idea of changing mindsets of communities to embrace entrepreneurial activities and embrace businesses, or looking at new ways of engaging the youth, engaging women, promoting optimism and positive outlook on life, recycling and using materials or waste materials and forming them into new products to prevent waste while we are creating business models. For example, we already have had innovators who are recycling water bottles or polythene to create innovative products. So if we have such ideas which can even create long-lasting employment opportunities, those ideas will be welcome under the entrepreneurship category. The fourth category is livelihood diversification. We're saying that communities are highly dependent on restricted types of subsistence farming. And then we have those who are relying on livestock production, for example, and this renders them vulnerable to adverse effects of climate change. For example, in Horn of Africa,
Welcome to the webinar.
If we have a problem of drought, these communities are severely affected. So we are seeking for ideas that will substantially empower communities by diversifying their livelihood, using simple but highly profitable farm and non-farm businesses. For example, those which will improve the standards of living through engaging in diverse income communities. If I'm a farmer, what other side activities can I engage in? What can you, an innovator, propose to me that will be very profitable and yet it can persist during climate change problems like if we have El Nino here in Uganda, what can farmers engage in when we have too much water or when we don't have water at all. We also are looking for ideas where we'll create opportunities for better financial inclusion through savings and access to credit, models for launching profitable businesses that would reduce vulnerability to food insecurity while promoting opportunities for increased household incomes. We're also looking for innovative approaches of attractive businesses with low investments, low risks, and yet high returns. The fifth category is health. We realize that communities in sub-Saharan Africa confront the most dramatic health predicaments and disasters due to climate change, due to rapid urbanization, and we are also battling with diseases like HIV and AIDS. So we are seeking for innovations that will alleviate health concerns among low-resource communities, and those may be new solutions to prevent disease outbreaks and epidemics, or even to control the disease. Or it could be easy-to-use, accurate primary care level diagnostics, sensors for common infections, and so on. We're also looking at improved emergency health care, for example, saving lives at birth, or neonatal care and other emergencies. We're also looking at innovative approaches on disease prevention, innovative approaches on sanitation and hygiene, low-cost optimized toilet solutions for flood-prone areas or high water table areas, or like in issues in areas of West Africa, we are looking at toilet solutions that's where we can even be able to recycle the waste in there and so on. The last category is gender-based violence, and just to re-emphasize, if your university is attached to the Southern Africa Resilience Innovation Lab, then you make sure that your idea is well aligned, even if it's in livelihood diversification, it's well aligned to help solve the issue, the thematic area of focus for that lab. So, like I was saying, finally, our last category is gender-based violence. This is a unique category, and we are hoping to receive many applications in this category. It's a serious issue, and we are seeking for innovative ways to help either prevent it or even solve the after effects. So we realize that gender-based violence causes physical trauma and long-lasting mental health problems, and it can be devastating to families. It can lead to social stigmatization, and it may be the cause of retaliations that we see happening in communities, or even sometimes death. There are only a few consequences of violence that victims have to deal with every day, and gender-based violence remains comparatively invisible and underestimated in most communities. Because of the constraints, most of the victims have strong feelings of shame, they fear engendered violence. Most of them cannot even come forward to seek help. So we are looking for innovative ways of preventing this, and also on-spot reporting mechanisms. If you have an approach or a best practice that you would like to suggest on-spot reporting mechanisms, that will be a good idea that fits in this category. We're also looking for innovative approaches that will change the mindsets and cultural beliefs, e.g. for women who believe that violence is the only way a man can show you affection, or even mitigation of the causes like alcoholism or drug abuse that usually trigger this violence. We're also looking at innovative follow-up support mechanisms for victims that have been affected, and support even the young girls. We are also looking for innovative sensitization channels and empowerment and implementation policies. Like I already said, this category is unique, and worldwide we've had campaigns, the 16 days, the hashtag of 16 days of gender-based violence. So we are happy that RAN is also joining efforts with the other development partners in the world to seek for innovative ways of how we can fight this evil. So if you're a student, either from social sciences or from School of Law, or even an engineer or from agriculture, and you think that you can propose innovative ways of how we can address this, your ideas will be most welcome. So these are 6 categories that are open for this call. And how can you participate? Number 1, eligibility. Applicants must be pursuing an undergraduate or a graduate academic program at a RAN partner university. And RAN is a partnership of 20 African universities. I will not go through the long list, but we have posted all the universities on the grants website. How do you apply? We require that you create an account on the grants website. The grants website is www.grants.ranlab.org, and all applications that are started must be completed to be valid. What are we interested in, or what are we looking for in your application? We want you to have a clear problem statement. So in the problem statement section, we require that you include background information of the problem you're addressing, and if possible, highlight some statistics of this problem and the magnitude in the community that is affected. The second section in your proposal is how innovative or creative your project idea is. We want you to show how different this is from other approaches or from other interventions that have been proposed in the past, or how it will ignite change, what are the primary goals, and where you need to also do a comparative study of other interventions and where they fell short and why yours is superior. So it should show how it works, its intended impact, and try to bring out the competitive advantage over other existing products or services. The third section is the method of implementation. How do you envision to achieve project success? What type of support or resources do you need for this to become a reality? And which partners do you hope to reach out to help support your idea? And you also need to briefly discuss some implementation challenges that you think you might encounter and how you're going to address these challenges. The fourth section is the activity plan, where you will outline tasks that will be accomplished for this project. Please note that this phase will be for only 6 months after grant disbursement, so your timeline should show 6 months after you have received the grant. And finally, the second last item is the budget. The budget must detail how this funding will be used, and the budget should not exceed $3,000. Finally, put team composition. And with team composition, we don't mean that you must work in a team. You can be an individual, and here you will just specify your details, your skills and competencies, and why you think you can work on this project. If you're working in a team, you can write a few lines about each team member and what they will be doing on the project or their contribution. If you have someone from the business sciences, then you talk about their contribution on the work that you'll be doing. We encourage multidisciplinarity, so if you can reach out to students from other departments within the university, other colleges, or other disciplines, that will increase your chances of working on a good idea and also attracting attention of the judges. The timelines is that the call was announced on November 25th, and therefore the deadline will be January 29th. In there, we have 2 webinars that we have scheduled. This was our first on December 11. We have a second webinar in January on 19th. And we also have open clinics where students can walk into the lab. Any university, all our Network Plus universities will be open to help students physically who walk in and have challenges with compiling or crafting their proposals. So for example, at the Eastern Africa Resilience Innovation Lab will be open and will have many staff at RAN here attending to students, helping them to work and refine their proposals. For now, this is some of the information that we can be able to give about the call, but we also have a frequently asked question section, which you can read for more information. We have an email support where you can send your quick email and get responses. And we also post updates on social media, on our Twitter and Facebook chats. Whenever we have updates either on the call or even just remind you, we often post information about the Youth Spark Innovation Grants. I thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you will be our ambassadors to spread the word, to talk about this, to share this opportunity with all the students around you, to even help them and be willing to support them so that they submit great proposals. And we look forward to receiving many ideas for this challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah, for that presentation. I would like to draw your attention to the questions icon, which is just below your polls. You can type a question there, or you can just raise your hand and you'll get picked and your question will be answered. So here I have some questions that were asked during the presentation, and I'll just read them out for everyone. And someone is asking, how do students from non-partner universities benefit from the call?
Okay, we have Dr. Okello on the call, and she will answer that question.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the question raised. Students that are not among the partner universities, and the list of partner universities is available on the grant website, can only participate if they team up with students from partner universities. But even then, they cannot be the majority of that. So at the moment, I would say it is the call is really being geared to students that are from the partner universities. There's a list of 18 universities in the countries where we are currently active.
Thank you, Dr. Dorothy. I hope your question has been answered. And we have another participant here saying, where can I get support in submitting my proposal? Is there someone to help me develop my proposal?
Okay, thank you again. This is a very pertinent question, and actually it's one of the reasons why we are emphasizing the partner universities as being the students from whom we shall accept applications. So for each of the partner universities, we do have a focal person that you can reach out to support you. If you're from a university and you don't know who your focal person is, simply send us an email and we shall go ahead and send you the contacts of the focal person.
Thank you for that too. Does anyone else have a question? Someone is asking if we'll share the presentation. And yes, we shall be able to share the presentation and the recording. Does anyone else have any other questions? Maybe we can have Dr. Dorothy present something brief and we will end with that. Okay.
Thank you, Sheila, for that. What I really wanted to highlight was that the different aspects related to the call are all provided on the grants website. So once you go to www.grants.rwandlab.org, you have information, general information about RUN. You have information about the challenge. You have information about the topics. And Deborah did a good job earlier explaining that depending on which university you are from or which university you'll be applying from, your university is associated with a given RI lab. So your project or your proposal must be submitted in the context of the thematic areas of your RI lab. So for example, if you are a student from Gulu University, you are within the Eastern Africa RI lab. So whether you do a project on water or whether you do a project on agriculture, it must, at the end of the day, be addressing a problem related to either chronic displacement or climate variability, because those are the thematic areas for the Eastern Africa lab. If you are a student from Senegal, you are affiliated with the Western Africa RI lab, and the thematic area for the RI lab is population growth and rapid urbanization. So again, you can do a project in water, you can do a project in agriculture, you can do a project in livelihood diversification, but it must be within the context of population growth and rapid urbanization. So all this information is provided on the grants website. You have also information about the eligibility, and that section also provides you with the list of partner universities, and the partner universities are listed by RI Labs, so you can easily work that out. We have information on the evaluation process, so you can see already how the different components of your proposals will be weighted. You have an activity plan and a budget that you will also need to submit, and the application form also provides you a template that you should use in terms of putting together your activity plan and putting together the budget. Lastly, you also have the key timelines, and the application deadline is January 25th at 2016, and this will be at midnight GMT. So you can work out what that would mean for your respective locations. So if you're from East Africa, you will actually seemingly get 3 more hours, because it will be 3 a.m. for you here. But in essence, it's midnight GMT, that is the deadline, and the platform will close at that time. You will not be able to submit an application after that time. You have also then access to the application form, where you need to first register. Once you've registered, of course, for most of you, I'm sure that you've gone through that step, you will then be given your access to the application form. At any time before you submit, you can continuously save your application and therefore access it after that to continue work on it. You can make changes, you can do whatever you like before you have submitted. Once you have submitted or clicked the submit button, you will only be able to view the application or to delete it. So if it happens that maybe you realize you've made a mistake, or as you think along you get other ideas that you would like to actually submit instead, you have a choice to delete it and start all over again. That is the only option you have at that point. I think that's it. So what I really would like you to pay attention to is the timelines. Submission of the proposals is only via the online platform. So kindly do not send applications or proposals via the email address yseek@rwandlab.org. Those will not count. You need to submit via the online platform. Okay, I see some students, I see some questions coming in, and I'll try to handle that. One is how long should the document be? When you access the application form, you will note that we have provided the appropriate space in which you should respond. So there are there's a limit to the number of words or characters that you can use in response to each section. So that will guide how long your document can be. There's a question on whether you will be able to present the prototypes for the projects. The selection process, as has been indicated in the application document, applicants may be invited to pitch their projects depending on the discretion of the review panel. So that remains an option that you may have to present your prototype, but it is not a requirement for application. And this is because we understand that some of the applications may be of new ideas that are yet to be tested. There is a question on if I'm a student at the University of Pretoria but have an innovation responding to the thematic area of Gulu University, will I still be eligible to apply? In this case, you would not be eligible to apply because as a student from the University of Pretoria, it means that you would be addressing the thematic area for the South Africa RI Lab, and you would be looking at the impact of chronic disease on access to livelihood assets. However, if, for example, there is a team from Gulu University that for some reason has one of its members from University of Pretoria, that could be an option. But otherwise, as the team from University of Pretoria, we expect that the focus of your proposal would be on the impact of chronic disease. Having said that, of course, it can be access to water by people who have severely been impacted by chronic disease. It can be improved agricultural practice for people that have suffered the impact of chronic disease, and so on and so forth. So there is a question on what happens if my budget is 3,000 USD, but in actual implementation, the costs prove to be higher than previously estimated. This, in fact, is likely to happen. So, one, please pay attention to your budgeting, seek guidance from your lecturers, from your tutors, from the focal person, so that your budget is as realistic as possible. The other thing is that, of course, there are some ideas for whom, even right from the start, you might have a fairly good idea that $3,000 is not enough. So if you take note in the budget template, we have requested you to already even identify additional sources of funding. But in the event that your project is accepted for $3,000 and that indeed as you implement the project, the costs prove to be higher, we would then have to address this on a case-by-case basis to see what you can actually implement within the remaining funds available. There is a question on how transparent will the selection process be. It's actually a three-stage selection process, and more details will be shared on this, even on the grants website. But the first phase of the selection process will be at the university level. And this is very important because, for example, we have a partner university in Mali, and we believe that a local committee in Mali would be more sensitive to the context of the applications that are submitted from Mali. So that would be step one. The next review stage will be at the Resilience Innovation Lab level or the RI Lab level. So, for example, the next stage for a proposal submitted from Mali would be review at the West Africa RI Lab level. And here the plan would be to see how well does the proposal actually fit with the thematic area. So in essence, your first level is looking at how good is the proposal in and of itself, and that is at the university level. At the RI lab level, the issue is more around how well does it fit along the lines of the thematic area. And then the third level will be at the RAN Secretariat and USAID level, where we are really looking to ensure that everything that this call has set out to do will be done. The judges, there is an ongoing process already to select the judges. Judges will be carefully selected to be knowledgeable experts in this area. We are also making sure that judges are bound to confidentiality, and so that they are responsible for protecting the ideas that will emerge from the student proposals. So each of the judges, before they are accepted into the system, will need to sign a non-disclosure agreement, binding them not to share the content of your applications. I think that has been answered, but I'm happy to take more queries on that. There is a question on, in my project, I'm the only youth age 25, yet all my team members are faculty. Am I still eligible to apply? No. This is really a youth or student project, so we expect all the team members to be students. We expect all the team members to be students from the partner universities, and the list of partner universities is available on the website, on the grants website. Faculty can still be involved, business mentors can still be involved, NGOs can still be involved, but they can only be involved as mentors or advisors to a project. They will not be recognized as team members of the project. And in fact, when you go through the application form, you will see that we have a question around requiring you to explain who your team members are and what is the role of your various team members. At that point, you're also welcome to indicate if you have mentors, such as faculty and the like. But the quick answer is that no, faculty are not allowed to apply for these grants. How will I know if I am not among those successful? Because we are anticipating that we shall receive very many applications from across Africa. Right now we have 18 partner universities, and we're expecting a bountiful of applications from all these. It will be much easier for us to announce those that have been successful. So if you are not on the list that is announced as the successful candidates, it will mean, as a successful applicant, it will mean that your proposal was not successful. At the level of RAN Secretariat, because of the volume of applications we are anticipating and as are already coming in, we will not be able to give feedback on each and every application. However, as I have mentioned, the first level of review is at the university or the country level, and so through your focal persons, you may, and I do want to emphasize may, be able to get some feedback on your proposals if they are not successful. But otherwise, on the website, when we finally do announce, you will only be able to see the list of the successful applicants. Okay, thank you. There is a question for the case of agriculture, you may need to concentrate at a crop which can flourish in a strategic area. If the plant takes long to grow, will such a proposal be accepted? Good question. As we have noted, the maximum period your proposal, your project should take is 6 months. In other words, if you have a project which takes 1 month, that is fine. 2 months, that is fine. But you cannot exceed 6 months. Okay. I'm told you cannot hear me. Can you raise your hands if you still can't hear me? Okay. So if you cannot hear me, please send in a post. But otherwise we shall assume that all is fine so far. So as I was saying, the projects can be any time up to 6 months. So if you are doing a project that exceeds 6 months, it will be difficult for that project to be accepted. However, there could be aspects of that project that you want to implement. There could be aspects that take 6 months or less. So you would submit a proposal that focuses on those aspects of your project that would take 6 months or less. So if, for example, you are doing a tree planting project, and maybe this is in a community where they have not been planting this type of tree, so maybe some of the short-term activities might be you need to do some sensitization in the community, you need to do some training, maybe you need to do some environmental assessment. So those are the kind of things that you could apply for, because those take less than 6 months and they would be in support of your bigger projects. Okay, I think I have responded to all the questions that are here, unless there are any others coming up. All right, maybe one of the things that I can also raise, it has not come up as a question, is the issue of language. We are accepting proposals or applications in both English and French, so you are welcome to submit in the language that you are most comfortable with. So if you are comfortable applying in English, please go ahead and do that. If you are comfortable applying in French, please go ahead and do that. You are welcome to use the language of your preference. We are trying to make as much information on the website available in both English and French, but to be honest, more of the information will be available in English, because we default in English and then translate in French. And so it also means that it will sometimes take a little bit of time longer to have the French information available relative to English. All right, I see a new question coming in. Are we allowed to work with experts in agricultural sectors directly? Yes, you are allowed to work with experts directly. You will need to acknowledge that you are working with these experts. On our end, we shall treat them as mentors or people giving you technical advice or otherwise. If you look through the application document, you note that one of the areas we expect to support the students is in providing them with mentors. So definitely, if you already have people that are known to you, if you already have experts that are already accessible to you, simply let us know that you have such an arrangement in place, and we shall follow up with them accordingly. The only restriction we have is that the teams must be student teams, and we trust that the student teams are the ones who will actually be implementing the project. You are welcome, however, to get guidance from anyone else that you believe would be helpful to you as a student team. Maybe I can also speak to the issue about the team size. We have received that as a question separately. You can actually apply for this project as an individual. So you do not need to be a member of a team. So you can be one person making an application, you can be a team of 2, you can be a team of 5. We have no restriction on the size of your team. We only have a restriction that the team must be a team of students, and that these students must be from the partner universities. Okay, I see there is a question that has come on when is the next webinar. The next webinar is also listed on the grants website. Oh, it is soon to be. 19. Okay, we shall list it there. We shall update the timeline section to include that. It's going to be on 19th of January 2016. So the next webinar will be on 19th January 2016. For those that will have ready access to Makerere University, Makerere University will be having its open door clinic on 20th January 2016. The webinars are happening online, and we hope are able to reach out to a broad number of people. But for those, I guess that would apply mainly to those within Uganda. For those that would have ready access to Makerere University, there'll also be a face-to-face one-day engagement where you can come into the East Africa RI Lab and sit with the team here, and they'll help you finalize your proposal. We shall not tell you what to do in terms of your topic, because you're the experts in terms of what you would like to do for your project, and this may be on days other than 20th January. So again, if this is of interest to you, send us an email at the grant's email address and we'll get back to you accordingly. Okay, so there's a question of what of incorporating this project with an organization running a project in the same area. This would be fine so long as the component that your project is doing is very, very clear and distinct from what the organization is already doing. So, for example, suppose you have an organization that is running a gender-based violence clinic, a clinic for gender-based for victims of gender-based violence. So, suppose you have an organization that's running a clinic for victims of gender-based violence. You could decide to come up with a project that helps send out alerts or helps send out checkout messages for these victims either when they're at home or if they need to come back to the clinic or things of that nature. So yes, you're partnering with this organization, but the component or the focus of your application is a distinct value addition to the work that the organization is already doing. It cannot be exactly the same as what the organization is doing. And in that case, we would treat the organization that you are partnering with or that you're cooperating with as a kind of mentor or supervisor or field supervisor to the kind of project that you are working on. But remember, again, your team itself and what we would recognize as your team would be the team of students, either you as an individual or however many you choose to join up to form a team and submit an application together. I think I don't see any other questions. I think we have probably answered all the questions at this point. We are going to make the recording of this event available on the grants website, so if something was not clear or if you want to listen to this presentation again, you'll be most welcome to do so, or to share it with your friends, you will be most welcome to do so. Please, if you haven't done so already, please like our social media spaces, because we'll be regularly sharing updates there. We also have some short videos that are also explaining the application grant a bit more. Please keep time in terms of the deadlines for the submission. And at this point, I would like to wish all of you a very happy holiday season. We apologize that we are making it to be a bit busy, given that you will have to spend some time working on the grants, but on your applications. But we believe it's for a good cause, and we thank you for your interest and your participation in the webinar. I'll now hand back to Sheila and Deborah in case they have any closing remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Dorothy, for all that you've presented about. If there are no more questions, I would like to close this webinar and announce the next webinar, which will be on 19th January at 4 p.m.
Okay, I also would like to say thank you so much for listening to us, and we've been doing a lot of publicity around this call. We are hoping that you, our listeners, will be ambassadors to push the message out. We have many posters that are going out, flyers. If you come across these, please interest your colleagues, interest students around you. This is a great opportunity, and it could open you to many other global opportunities. Thanks once again, and we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.